to connect with their clients. You know what I'm saying? And so the anticipatory, I loved how he used the example of really trying to get ahead of what the customers were really, what they think they were concerned about, and then try to remedy those before they opened it up the very next day for business.
Yeah,
And so
and
I
it had
just love,
nothing to do. It had nothing to do with the food.
no,
The food had
it
nothing to
had
do with
everything.
a restaurant.
Yeah, it had everything to do with the experience.
Yep.
You know what I'm
And
saying? And so, and that was just really, really grounding. Just to, I mean, because Stacy and I, several years, side note, we had an experience in a hotel where we actually came back multiple times, and the hotel on the second and third time actually knew the type of pillows that we liked. They knew the type of champagne that we liked or whatever it was, and they had literally had all that ready for us the next time we checked in, including the same room. Now that is just staying hyper engaged with your customer, and that was really inspiring about that breakout session.
That's amazing. I love it.
Elizabeth, I thought of you. I forget which speaker said it. It may have been him, I think. And they were talking about you can send somebody text messages, call them when moments in their life happen, or you can literally go have to buy a note, right? A special card. You actually take the moment to handwrite the card. Then you have to actually fold it and put it in an envelope. Then you have to address it. Then you have to stamp it. Then you have to drive to the mailbox. And the meaning that happens behind those handwritten cards is so much greater than a text message, right?
Yeah.
And people recognize that. And you were writing post note cards, handing them out to people on the bus or something. And I thought of you in that moment and I saw you give them to the people at the desk. And I was like, that is Elizabeth Ryan.
Oh, thank you.
Ryan Copeland, that reminds me too of, so when we talk about birthdays and handwritten note cards, right, is what do we know is everyone goes to social media and says happy birthday. That's great. That's awesome. But that's a very crowded field. But we as agents can think about where the field is very thin, where there are very few people existing, and know that if there's a handwritten note card in their mailbox or there's an action item that we're taking that very few will go that extra mile to take, it even amplifies the effort that it took and solidifies that relationship even deeper. Really solid reminders. Refresh on basics.
I actually borrowed this from Elizabeth. I think he taught a class, who knows, I think when I first started. So I went to Canva and I have my own happy birthday cards. And so I've been sending those out. So it's just, they know it's for me. I'm not buying it at some store. I made it personally and I send those out.
Perfect. I love that so much. It was interesting because the little things we do, you don't realize they make an impact sometimes, right? And this was a reminder to me. I taught a class, I taught a breakout. Actually, it was kind of funny. There was a big class before me, and I wasn't paying attention because my slides, I had to get my slides and all the things and whatever. And so I'm up on stage and I look up and the room is packed. And I was kind of taken aback. I was like, are y'all here for my session? And they're like, yeah. That took me back. But what happened is, like, I spoke and I taught that session, and then I opened it up for some questions afterwards. And it was really about just, making people feel important. And I think I had like 3 people talking about, Elizabeth, we haven't met in person, but you sent me an email congratulating me on Icon. And they're like, that stood out. And then I had 2 other people like, oh my gosh, yes, I got one from you too. I got one from you too. And I'm like, that's awesome, because I set that up a while ago. Because again, I want to treat people the way I want to be treated, and you want to feel appreciated and seen and all the things. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what I thought was a little email, right? That because I made, like, from Canva, Megan, you just remind me of that. We made a little, congratulations on an icon, and we'll send that out every time somebody caps our icons. They don't respond necessarily, right? People aren't going to be like, oh, thanks, or whatever, I got it. You don't even know if they got it, but it made an impact and it made a difference and it set us apart, right? So that was kind of cool to see too, where people aren't always going to acknowledge the handwritten note that you wrote them, or acknowledge, the little thing that you did that was different from everybody else, but it set you apart. So, Who else? Michelle Hendricks. I'm gonna call you out because you were all over the place too.
Well, yeah, I was. Thank you. It was, I've never invested my time in that before. I was at Compass for almost going into my 4th year. And I mean, they had one here in Austin and I didn't even attend it. It was like, almost $3,000. And it was my understanding that they just get up there and, get you pumped up to go make the company some more money next year. So what I felt was, sorry, my neighbor's dog is being really loud. What I felt the entire time, every day, whether I was sitting at a small table, a big table, a breakout room, or the grand ballroom, was that, and you use this phrase all the time, Elizabeth, like I just felt poured into. It's clear that everyone was selected for incredibly important and impactful reasons. I mean, I've got a long list. I mean, we haven't brought up Brian Carruthers yet. I went to his breakout and to his, we were all in the grand ballroom as well. And that Brock Kelly video, I think every parent I talked to said they're going to come home and watch that with their kids. We'll watch that at my house this weekend. He did have one nugget that I loved on the breakout session with regard to attraction. And he said, when you're handling objections or just, making these invitations and having these conversations and someone brings up an objection or something, a misconception, something that they don't like, it's, he just said, I felt the same way, and shifting it from, I'm going to prove you wrong, we're going to have an argument about this pain point or whatever. It was, I used to feel the same. I felt the same way. And there was, he had a list of, but once you change it to a feeling and connecting on a way something makes you feel rather than a rah, it's just better here approach, that really, that one small adjustment makes a huge impact. And the other thing I'll say is that getting to meet growth up close and personal like that. And I was like Jenna, I didn't think I was going to do any attraction, or it took me about a week and a half to feel the love that I feel here. And today is my 1-year anniversary actually. And I iconed, and I mean, it's been the most difficult year in Austin real estate. And it's been the happiest year of my life in 21 years of real estate. So to top that off with eXPCon was exceptional. I got to sit at a table with the highest up people in growth. And I also got to meet the head of Texas eventually at one of the evening events. But the authenticity, the care, the sincere wanting to support us, it's absolutely clear that they want us to win together. And probably a lot of us are overcomplicating it. And I'm just so excited to have met the real people behind the big names at this incredibly large, amazing, groundbreaking company, because they're humans. You can reach out and touch them and hug them. And I just believe that they mean every single word that they say. And I've never felt like that before at a company. So to be at a company so large and have access to people that are making humongous changes in this crazy industry that's unmatched. Where can you go and have access to those people at this level of a company?
And who knew that the founder could rap? Oh my gosh. That's awesome, Michelle. That's so awesome.
The Renee, I don't know if anybody was in the Renee Rodriguez breakout sessions, but they were amazing. I mean, that guy is magical with words. And he basically said, look, it's all about the story you tell. So you can ask somebody, what their favorite color is, and you can answer it with one word, or you can tell the story of why it's your favorite color. That has a lot deeper impact. And I thought that was a pretty profound takeaway for me. You could buy the same chicken for $1 at Chick-fil-A or $3 at Chick-fil-A or whatever, or you could pay $100 for the same chicken, but it's the story behind it right? And if y'all haven't looked at Rene Rodriguez, he really didn't cover much. He was more of a highlight on the main stage, and that I wish they were able to go deeper on the general session, because not everybody could get in those breakout rooms. They were like full to the brim, and literally the fire marshal locking doors, where they wouldn't let anybody in, because his breakout sessions were incredible. If you don't follow him, look at his stuff.
Well, and to that point too, all of y'all that couldn't make it, that didn't get to watch it, or even those that did go, that didn't get to go to all the different breakouts in all the rooms. That's the cool thing about EXP. They were recording it. Blended Sense was all over all those breakout sessions. I'm sure they're going to release a lot of that in our university training as well. But the live stream, you can go back and watch the keynotes.
And Rene Rodriguez is having a free EXP event. I think it's December 10th. We'll make sure we post it in Family Tree for everybody.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
What are some other takeaways for those that weren't there? What are some tangible takeaways that those that were there can share with the others?
Well, I think it's important to add that we've got a lot of QR codes to free education from a lot of these. I mean, the fact that the emphasis on AI and how we can streamline and scale our business if we implement some of these tools, even if they're a little scary on the front end. And then they've got people up there offering, what they typically charge, I think $3,000 for the one AI course. And I'll try to find it and post it in chat. But, everything I saw available to us was on the training side from people that were trying to help us expand and grow our business was all free. And it's not, I don't know if there was a deadline on it or anything, but there's a lot more to learn from what was offered that we can expand on.
Yeah, a lot of free, because they open up their playbooks, because again, we're all one at EXP. If one person wins, regardless of line, we all win, right? The company is more profitable, the agents are more profitable, they're more productive, the stock goes up, all the things. So my biggest takeaway is that, and I've been here a while, so it's fun to see it through new lenses, but we're creating something that solves the solution for so many. And that's what Glenn's reflection video was talking about too. It's like, we're adding so much value in different ways because all of our businesses are different, and we're all coming together and learning and growing in unique ways. And so I love that our company, people are watching us, people are paying attention to us, we had huge teams that were on stage that have looked at every kind of solution possible, that even tried to compete with EXP. One got into 20 states and she goes, they were in the business of trying to build a product or build a platform to make money. Len created a platform to change lives and change people's businesses because he had a pain point he was trying to solve for. And so like the Canzel team that came over, like they were a competing company with EXP. They were like, oh, that's fun. That's what they're doing. I'm just going to compete with them. They got to 20 states and she's like, this is too hard. Why beat them? Why try to beat them when you can't? Just join them. And so she rolled her whole in. We had some guys in there that, doing 1,000 homes a year. I don't want to necessarily do that, but can I learn from them? Absolutely. And understand what they see in our model that's going to help everybody from the top team leader all the way down to the brand new agent that they have on their team. So the resources and the QR codes and all the tools are going to be, you're going to keep watching EXP. I keep watching Workplace, because that's all going to be in there. We're going to post them in our groups as much as we can as well, but there's just a lot of information and everybody's going to be looking for different things. So, the biggest thing, I think the biggest win of the week, can we talk about it, y'all? My Aggies beating LSU. Come on. Why has nobody brought that up yet?
I thought, first of all, if you have never
I'm
seen
looking at you, Megan, showing up in purple at my party. What the heck?
If you have never seen Elizabeth watch an Aggie game, it is a sight to see. It should be viral on TikTok. I've never seen her more passionate in life, yelling at the TV. I thought she was going to throw stuff at it and break it. It was dangerous.
Hey. And it's so funny. Everybody's like, are we doing happy hour? Are we doing a dinner? Are we getting together? I was like, if you guys want to find me, I will be here. So we had a whole restaurant down there, and we had people show up in their LSU. If you guys know who Jeff Rose is, he's out of New Mexico. He's agent like number 76 at the company. He shows up in a Tiger shirt. I'm like, what? And he's like, hold on, time out, time out. And he unbuttoned it, and underneath was maroon. He was like, so when the Aggies score, I'll have this shirt on. When the Tigers score, I'm like, whatever. I mean, it was so much fun, but yeah, the Aggies. I mean, that's all I
I
got.
thought you were gonna say the biggest takeaway was us all getting Canva Pro.
Yeah, I mean, that's the second biggest takeaway. I mean, there's always got to be a first, and it's my Aggies beating LSU. Now we can talk about all the other stuff.
Well, switching topics, I had
Because
an opportunity.
Megan knows I'm mad at her. She wore purple. She was on the losing side. Go ahead, Megan.
Oh, thank you. No, I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of agents who were on the Explorer Pass, so not yet with EXP, and they could not fathom that we collaborate on the level that we do. And one of the commercial agents who sounds like they're coming over, she's like, everybody is so nice. Everyone is just willing to open their playbooks, tell you how you can help. And it reminded me, before I went to EXP, I posted on Workplace about how I could help another agent with a different company on a pain point. And Anthony out of doesn't matter, I think New York or something, hopped on a Zoom call with me immediately, spent 30 minutes of his time to help me help this other agent. And I kept running into him at eXpCon, which was amazing. But the amount of collaboration and how we're just here to help and provide information.
But what's cool, Megan, too, is you actually came to our event as an explorer before. So was it different or interesting now to see it from the other side of the glass? Because I mean, you came not knowing what you were jumping into. I mean, by the end of that day, or by the end of that event, you were like, I'm coming. But I mean, now you could see it in a different light. And I love that you were talking to the explorers because you know exactly what they were experiencing because you were just in their shoes.
Yeah, and when I had the breakup conversation with my team lead at my previous brokerage, they were just like, well, they're just whining and dining you because they want you on board. And once you come, they're not going to still do that. You're not going to be in those rooms. And, well, yes, I am. And I'm still being poured into.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Brian had an explorer there. She was fired up and she was like, had one foot, she was going to Compass. And then she realized, oh my gosh, this company is amazing. I had an explorer there. This is pretty cool, y'all. Very, very, very dear friend of mine. One of my first friends, real estate friends that I met when I moved to Austin, Texas in 2008. He's been in the business probably 30 to 40 years. Very well respected, international. He was at Keller Williams ALC with me, or agent. I get them confused now, but anyway, and he was always like me, like, how can we just pour into people and build them up in a bigger way instead of just numbers? When we all came over to EXP early on, he came too, and his big focus was, I think he's from Guatemala originally, but his big focus was international. We were so brand new, and I was like, Memo, you've got an opportunity to like lead the Latino, Latino, and he's like, yeah, we were just building it too fast, and he had personal things he was dealing with, so he ended up going back to KW. He's a broker, had his own brokerage, all the things because his wife was there. So fast forward, he and I have been friends over the years, and we always get together for lunch and we always talk. I never ever talk about him coming to EXP because I know what his goals are. They're bigger than just transactional stuff and what he's wanting to do. He's on our board, Austin board, international forum and all the things. And since then, he's now dating somebody for a while that's in Miami. And I said, Memo, you need to know the C5 team. The C5 group out of Miami, they're all Latino. It's all Spanish. They've got events every quarter, resetting goals. Instead of setting your goals for a year, they reset their goals every quarter. And they have probably 800 to 1,000 agents that come to their event from Venezuela, from Spain, from all over the world. And it's incredible. I've spoken at his events before. I was the only one who spoke English. I told him hola tequila adios wasn't going to get me far, so they had to translate for me. But I mean, the energy is amazing. I was like, Memo, I want you to know these people just from a real estate perspective. If you guys are doing international stuff together, come. I said, you're already going to Miami, just be my guest. The other reason I don't ever take explorers because I'm pulled at like 50 million different directions and I can't entertain somebody, right? Like I always want to make sure people are poured in and loved on. So I said, just, you can run around and go do your own thing. I can't kind of be alongside you, but if you think it'd be valuable, I'd love for you to be my guest. He does commercial other things. The last day he walks up and Brent was standing there too. It was kind of ironic that happened. And the last day he walked up and he's like, I've got questions. I'm like, sure, what's up? He's asking me about commercial. He's asking me about, international. Why is commercial in this entity, whatever. And I'm just kind of telling him, not even thinking anything more for it. I'm in my car on the way to the Uber. He's like, hey, I need you to send me the link. I'm joining EXP again. And I was like, that never crossed my mind. That was never the intentions to have him there. My intention was to get him connected in an international scale in a bigger way. But what everybody else did at that company that you can't pay people to do or tell people to do, they showed up and they poured into him, just like Megan's saying. And that energy that you experienced, he's like, this is where I need to be. This is where I need to, this is home. So of the 4 explorers that I met throughout the time, maybe 5, they're all coming to the company because we didn't tell them about us. They felt it. We showed them who we were. So that speaks to every single person on this call and in the company. We've got about 10 more minutes left. What else, guys? Silas. Hi, Silas. Brandon, welcome. New to the industry and new to EXP, welcome to the family. Welcome home. We're excited to have you here. I didn't see Silas on the call. Silas is one of my amazing people, and he's an amazing leader in El Paso. So welcome, welcome. Who else? What else?
I think leaving this big event, literally watching that football game with you felt like 2 weeks ago at this point. It's sometimes it's hard to kind of compact into, all right, what are the 1 or 2 things? We can't do them all.
Yeah.
What are we going to actually implement? I can tell you one thing that I literally have a whiteboard in my office of just kind of like dreamy ideas that I need to get done. And that way they stay up there until they get taken off. And one thing was I get a lot of inbound calls. And one of the breakout rooms was full, the one with Brent Grove talking about events. And so I went to Cliff Freeman's next door. And he said one of the biggest changes he made in his business was getting a Google Voice number. To get those busy calls that are coming in and getting also a 24-hour answering service. Now, he runs a big team, but it's the same concept of like minimizing distractions so you can focus on the big idea. And so I'd love to connect with anybody separately who maybe has that and see how it works, because I get a lot of inbound calls. Just those little calls can distract you for 20 minutes,
Yeah.
By the time you take the call and you have to refocus and whatnot. So I thought that was a really easy implemented, get my cell phone number off all signs and get it kind of a roadblock in the middle between me and those.
And the one question I have, Elizabeth, is the splitting the agent, because I think you know who I'm talking about probably. Can you speak to how that works?
Yeah, okay. This is Brian, to your point, I agree with you. I think that's a good idea, and it gives some separation too, because we easily as agents can let real estate consume our lives. So I think that's a great idea. Jacqueline, what you're talking about is they announced this too. They don't have a word for it yet. Co-sponsor is a word that's being thrown out there because in the industry that word's out there. I hate that word, but anyway, the idea is this. Say, I'm going to just use you guys as an example. Say I have Jacqueline Foreman that I am trying to attract to the company, but Pam has an amazing relationship with, I'm going to use somebody else in a different state. Brad's in Florida, Brad's in Georgia, Jacqueline's in Texas. Okay. So Jacqueline's coming to the company, Brad's in Florida, in Georgia, and they have a great relationship and he's been really instrumental in all the things, but you can only have one sponsor. But Brad's been instrumental, Elizabeth's been instrumental. We're 2 different states. How can both, because that agent can benefit being in both of our worlds. Say pretend we're in different organizations. So what EXP's allowed is some of the growth leaders, FLQA numbers are a big deal. Now the icons and the cappers, that's changed a little bit, but FLQA numbers are a big deal. So when you have big organizations, like a lot of us growth leaders that have strong 6 and 7 levels, unless you have the frontline strong frontline, you can't open those opportunities. So the revenue piece that comes into it doesn't necessarily add as much value as the FLQA does. So what EXP is now allowing us to do is say, I need the FLQA because I have a large group, but Brad is going to help pour into them as well. So I can put Jacqueline under Brad, so she would name Brad Feynman. I would get the FLQA status, but Brad Feynman would get the revenue from that, from Jacqueline joining and anybody coming in underneath Jacqueline. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that way,
how does that, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
So how do they, when they go to join EXP, how do they name both people? And
You need to come to one of us or the growth team, right? And so if you don't know who to go to, I can direct you, but we have to get that on the back end. But Jacqueline, in that situation, you would name Brad. And on the back end system, I would get the FLQA status because you don't have people in your 6th or 7th line. So it doesn't help you, but the FLQA status would help me. So that allows, like, for me, for example, I'm always trying to keep my FLQA numbers. And now what I can do, I'm not building my front line anymore. I don't need to build my front line anymore from Icon and all this other stuff. Now I can help other people build out, and that's the way to do it. So it's allowing the growth leaders to help their people within their organization. And your situation is a little bit different because you're crossing realty and commercial. So we'd have to figure that piece out. But I think that's absolutely a solution because the other sponsor's in another state and is going to be able to help her plug in on the commercial stuff. But you're here where she is locally, and you're going to be able to help her plug into everything else. Make sense?
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Yep. So let's
I
talk offline.
I thought that was just an absolutely genius idea for the growth team to do that.
Yeah.
You know, because the idea is to keep people in production.
Yeah.
You know,
and community.
And it keep them involved. It's a massive, I think, win for us and a huge knockout punch for a lot of these other companies.
Yeah. And now, and I mean, that's the thing too. Some people might want to be in our org, but some people might want to also be in GoGo's org, right? And get I mean, that's what EXP is anyway, across the board. However, people have more than one relationship. So it gets really sticky sometimes. So EXP is like, well, let's just create a solution. The other,
and the alphas that have massive relationships over 20, 30 years, you could probably Icon just from referrals.
Right.
Which means it takes the pressure off you to have to continue to keep building your first line and be able to pour into the company.
Right. And the alphas, like, again, we're not building our front lines really anymore. And this gives us a way to support and reward our other agents around the country. One thing to keep in mind, big things happen at events, y'all. I mean, I know this one just happened, and I know sometimes people are at different places, but get to the events that you can get to. Those in Austin, we're having AHA Club November 13th. With Julie Nelson, all about business planning, resetting for the new year, all the things. What's amazing about these events, y'all, and the reason we're creating these is, yes, they're for you, but invite. Show people what we're about, invite them from other companies. They're not getting that anywhere else. Even if they stay where they are, at least they're smarter now than when they came in the room and they have a business plan. So November 13th, AHA Club, so get your tickets for that. The next events, they just announced Barcelona is where eXPCon International is going to be. Next October's in Miami again, and then Canada's Montreal. That link, I posted it in the tribe. If you guys get your early bird tickets now, the cool thing is later on, if you can't go, then people are always looking for early bird pricing. But make it part of your business plan, especially in the new year, to get to more events. Not, rub elbows with people, get to know these people. But that's where big things are happening at these events. And we're going to be creating events all over the place. Feynman, we're going to do one in Atlanta. We keep talking about this. I talked to a number of people. We're going to make that happen. So let's create events, show up at events, and then we're all going to be better together in the new year. So 2 more minutes. Any last words before we jump off?
We have a February event in Dallas. Is that correct?
Possibly. Yeah, I don't know why they announced it like that, because I don't know that usually the alphas, the top attractors, they have them come into after their QBRs will go in, but the day before or go the day after. Usually it's like a small group, like 50, but Leo, I don't know if they misspoke, but they said that they're going to allow people to come and invite only. So that would be in February. I will get more information around that, and I will invite whomever I can. Like, the more the merrier there, but that will be with leadership in Dallas. I believe it's the 23rd and 24th, I think. So I'll know more about that. Do we know any other events in Florida?
And our holiday party was announced, right?
Our holiday party in Austin is December 13th. I think the save the date. Thank you, Stacy Speaks. I think the save the date's out. We're gonna get the tickets out shortly for that. We are capped at 200 people. Like this is one of those things. Do not wait to the last minute. I cannot let you in the door because they will have the fire marshal and they'll shut the door down. So that's December 13th for the Austin people. Get into your workplace groups, whatever state you're in, and find out when the holiday parties show up to those as well.
Elizabeth, where do we confirm confirmation for that? Is it our workplace group for the holiday party?
Yeah, that's going to be for you, Keith. It'll be in the Austin Metro group.
Austin Metro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then November for Austin. Okay, I'm going to encourage you guys for November in Austin. We do a Friendsgiving. And we all do like a Thanksgiving potluck. If you're in your cities or your state and they don't have that, create it. Invite everybody. We opened up to everybody in EXP. So create opportunities where people can come together if you don't have it already happening. Cool. You guys are amazing. Thank you for showing up. Those that were at the event, thank you for pouring in. Those that weren't at the event, thank you for showing up and learning some more. Next Friday, we're going to have head of country for UK and head of international expansion. He's coming on. So that's going to be pretty powerful for you to get to see what we're doing there and across the pond referrals that are happening. So y'all have an amazing November. Happy November. Have an amazing weekend. And we will see you guys next week. Bye, y'all.
There you go.